Hello everyone, this is Leslie from Walk Well Vinyl, and I'm coming to you with part 2 of a 4-part series on splicing your image. And this time I will be using Affinity Designer or Photo. They're very similar, pretty much the same process. So I will go ahead and be walking you through it on Affinity Photo. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Please keep in mind that there are 2 other videos, one for Photoshop and one for Silhouette. And then there's also one with keeping the design back together when you are finished. So keep an eye open for those. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. All right, so I am in Affinity Photo, and I'm going to open. So anytime open is pretty standard across all of the programs. If you click on your File tab, that's where you're going to save, where you're going to print, and where you're going to open, which are some of the biggest ones that I would share tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and I would be going and opening. I have actually already opened it, but I did want you to see how to accomplish that. So this is the design that I'm going to be using. This was specifically sized for a Traffic Master, or I'm not sure what the new ones are, what they're called, but the ones from Home Depot. I am actually going to put this on a design. I'm going to put this in one of the interchangeable designs, which you can find at Single J. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move it over. You could do it. You can move it over. I tend to like on a design like this because I want my tulips to not come all the way to the top. If it's a full bleed design, then I will just make it 22.5 inches by 10 and 0.25 inches. But this is not, I do not want this to bleed over on the top. I want my tulips to kind of just dangle at the top. So let's go ahead and move it over. And this is a presetting. If you saw my first video on Photoshop, I mentioned that I have all of my settings lined up here, my template. So one of the main ones I have is this 13 by 19. That is my printer paper. It is also generally what I use for my garden flags that I'm going to print. But that is what I would go and open up next. And that's just so that I have a printer ready, a printer paper ready. So I do want this to bleed over on the sides, but like I said, I don't want my tulips to bleed off. So I'm going to go ahead and just stretch this. Like I said, it's 22.5, and then generally I would be 10.25 inches on the height if I wanted it to bleed off. I do not. So I'm going to leave it as it is, and then of course I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mirror that or flip it horizontally so that it prints out correctly. Over here, this is very similar. You'll find as you work with Affinity and Photoshop that they're very, very similar. And so I have mainly started using, I use Affinity for probably 98% of my designing and of printing. Anything that I do, I generally do off Affinity. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this rectangular marquee tool. You will find this over in your tool panel on the left-hand side of your screen. And it is the exact same, it serves the exact same purpose as the rectangular marquee in Photoshop. So I'm going to, I apologize, let me start over again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the top corner of my design. I'm going to left click and hold it down so that it drags it down. And I'm going to go all the way to like 12 inches. 12, you can go to anywhere to about 12 3/4 inches, but you're not going to want to go bigger than that because for most of us, my printer prints 13 by 19. It's an Epson AT15000, so I don't want to go any larger than that. And then I'm going to go up here to the edit, which is right next to file, pretty common in most of the softwares as well. And I'm going to cut. And that is going to remove that half of my image. So then I want to go over, and this is the one that I have already opened. This is a 13 by 19 sheet, so it's set up for printing. And I'm going to just go ahead and center that, and now I'm ready to print. You can see along here, I've been doing a lot of printing today, and all of my designs, all of my images that I've printed, I have saved over here, and I just click and unclick the ones that I need. I do not get rid of them until my project is complete and pressed and looks good. Because, as you know, there are many times we get all the way to pressing and then something goes wrong and we have to start over. So that is the reasoning behind that. So now we are ready to print this side. So what I would do is go up here to the left-hand corner and put print. Now, I get a lot of questions about print properties. I do not change any of my properties. All I do is I would make sure that my ET15000, if you have multiple printers on your I don't even know what it's called, on your network, make sure that the appropriate one is picked. I'm going to have it pull from my paper tray. It's a Super B. And then the one thing that I want to look at is I want this put on plain paper or bright white paper. That is going to put off the least amount of ink. Sometimes if it's laying down really heavy ink, you'll see abnormalities in the printing. It's also a lot easier to get pizza wheels and all those things that we do not want to see. So then you can also go down here to show settings, and what I want to look at is color mode. I don't mess around a lot with the ICC profiles. I just don't mess with them. I always have mine under Epson Vivid, and that's what I keep it as. So I just wanted to show that real quick. So then I would just go ahead and put OK and print. I am not going to print that. I've actually already printed out this image. So it would print through and I would be done with this half. So now I'm going to go back to my other thing, and I'm going to just click this selection brush tool. Make sure it's on subtract. I've moved it all the way up, and then I'm just going to get rid of my marquee box that I put. Then you'll see that it will, once you get rid of it, it will select what is left. So I'm going to just go ahead, I'm going to copy, and I'm going to move that over to my printer page. So then I can unclick the first one that I printed because I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to go ahead and print the second half following the same process that I just showed you on the first half. It's going to print it out, and then we will go ahead and I will show you how to go about getting those designs put back together if you will follow me for part 4 of this series, and I will see you then.